What if the sky exploded without warning and no one knew why? No missile, no bomb. Just an ordinary morning in the middle of nowhere until the heavens opened up. June 30th, 1908. Siberia. A region so remote, it hardly seemed touched by the modern world. At exactly 7:17 a.m., witnesses saw a blinding blue light streaking across the sky. Some described it as brighter than the sun. Others said it was like fire tearing the sky in two. Then the earth shook. A colossal explosion ripped through the atmosphere. The sound was deafening, a thunderclap magnified 1,000 times. The blast flattened an estimated 80 million trees, scorching and leveling over 2,100 square kilometers. That's nearly the size of a major city, turned into splintered wilderness in a matter of seconds. The energy released was between 15 to 30 megatons of TNT. By comparison, the atomic bomb dropped on Hiroshima released just 15 kilotons. This was up to 2,000 times more powerful. And yet no crater, no visible impact, no massive chunk of space rock embedded in the earth. And despite the staggering destruction, only 3 people were confirmed dead. That's because this explosion occurred in one of the most isolated regions on the planet. But for those who did witness it, the memory would haunt them forever. One man, sitting at a trading post 65 kilometers away, recalled what he saw. He said the sky opened like a curtain being pulled apart. A wave of heat hit him so intensely he thought his shirt was on fire. Then came a sound so loud it knocked him to the ground. Windows shattered, buildings trembled. He pressed his head to the ground, certain the sky was falling. In towns and villages hundreds of kilometers away, people reported similar experiences. Shockwaves broke windows and rattled nerves. Animals panicked. People ran into the streets, terrified that the world was ending. Even more bizarrely, the effects were felt across continents. Seismic instruments in Britain, Germany, even the United States picked up tremors from the event. The atmosphere itself seemed disturbed. For several nights afterward, skies across Europe and Asia glowed eerily. In some places, it was bright enough to read a newspaper at midnight. What on earth had just happened? For over a decade, that question went unanswered. Political turmoil, civil unrest, and the remoteness of the location meant that no formal investigation took place for years. It wasn't until 1927 that a scientific expedition led by Leonid Kulik finally made its way to the blast zone. What he found only deepened the mystery. The forest floor was littered with fallen trees, all radiating outward from a central point, as if something had exploded above them. But directly beneath that point, many trees still stood. They were stripped bare of branches and bark, but they hadn't fallen. There was no crater, no debris, no obvious source of impact. Initial theories ranged from a meteorite to a volcanic gas explosion to something even stranger. Over the next few decades, researchers returned with better tools and deeper questions. In the 1950s and 60s, they began finding tiny metallic spheres embedded in tree resin and buried in the soil. These spheres contained high levels of nickel and iron, materials commonly found in meteorites. They weren't native to the region. They had arrived from somewhere beyond the Earth. Slowly, a new theory began to take shape. A small asteroid, perhaps 50 to 60 meters across, had entered Earth's atmosphere at high speed. But instead of striking the ground, it exploded midair. The resulting fireball created a shockwave that devastated the forest below. This was what scientists now call an airburst. A cosmic explosion that never touches the Earth's surface, but still carries immense destructive power. Supercomputer simulations in recent years have supported this idea. They show that an object traveling at 15 to 20 kilometers per second could release 15 megatons of energy in the upper atmosphere with no crater required. Still, not everyone agreed. The lack of a visible impactor led some to propose more exotic theories. A comet made entirely of ice that vaporized completely. A massive natural gas explosion. A nuclear test? Even a crashed alien spacecraft. But in 2023, new evidence surfaced. Scientists studying sediments from Lake Zapovednoye, near the Tunguska epicenter, found deposits of unusual metals like titanium, zirconium, and rubidium. These elements were not present in the surrounding geology. They likely came from the object that exploded above the region. Another study suggested that any surviving fragments may have landed roughly 11 kilometers northwest of ground zero. But no large debris has ever been recovered. In 2024, the world was reminded how real this threat still is. Astronomers discovered asteroid 2024 YR4, a Tunguska-sized object, that briefly had a small chance of impacting Earth in 2032. Thankfully, further observations ruled it out. But for a brief moment, humanity held its breath. Because we now understand, Tunguska wasn't a freak occurrence. It was a warning. Airburst events like this happen, on average, every few hundred years. In 2013, a much smaller asteroid exploded over Chelyabinsk, Russia. It shattered windows, injured over 1,000 people, and released a fraction of Tunguska's energy. And yet no one saw it coming. Today, agencies like NASA and the European Space Agency are working to detect and deflect potential threats. Projects like DART are testing how we might one day steer an asteroid off course. But even with better detection systems, the risk remains. The next Tunguska could happen tomorrow. It could strike over an ocean, or it could strike over a city. The Tunguska event remains the most powerful natural explosion in recent history, and yet the object that caused it remains invisible. No impact, no crater, no trace but scorched trees and scattered metal. The sky exploded once, and it will again. If that shook you, if it made you wonder what else the universe has in store, subscribe to this channel. There are more stories like this waiting to be told. Hit the like button, share this with a friend, and let's uncover the secrets of our strange and powerful planet together.